This is our AGR 201 CIP presentation. My name is Montana Campbell. I am a junior majoring in animal sciences with concentration in pre-veterinary medicine.
I'm Tim Wellful. I'm a senior in the College of Agriculture studying agribusiness management.
I'm Brian Hall. I'm a junior here at Purdue. I'm studying natural resources and environmental science.
I'm Karthik and I'm a double major in actuarial sciences and statistics with a concentration in management.
I'm Nicole Smith and I'm a junior in the College of Agriculture studying natural resources and environmental science.
A little background and history on developmental disorders and illnesses in general. So it was originally thought that children could not have emotional disorders. This later changed to children had adult disorders that needed to be treated as adult problems. A milestone in child psychology and this disability development was the publication of the Journal of Clinical Child Psychology. This evolved from reflective comments to more research and scholarly articles over time, and throughout its course up to 1989, over 90% of those publications were researched. Also, studies show that socialization is very important in child development in psychology, as around age 2, aggression behavior tends to go away because of this socialization, in addition to several other developmental adaptations. However, abnormal children do not overcome this peak.
So here we have a few of the laws and acts that Purdue has to follow for those with disabilities on campus. So Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 basically says that it prohibits any discrimination for anyone with a disability by an organization or an employer. This section basically focuses on federally funded organizations and saying basically you can't discriminate anyone based on their disability. Following that is the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. This is more towards college or public colleges as well as state and local entities, saying that no one can be discriminated by their disability. So the ADA of 1990 really put Purdue accountable for making accommodations for students on campus in order for them to have academic success. And this actually goes with extracurricular activities too, not just school standard-wide usage. So ADA Amendment Act of 2008 basically is just used to clarify the scope of the word disability and what it truly defines.
Some assumptions versus facts on mental disabilities. Individuals who have a mental illness are dangerous. This is not true. Very few individuals are a threat to society. This assumption comes from people who are in a manic state of perhaps bipolar disorder, or individuals who have passed the breaking point of clinical depression that most people consider a threat. Individuals who have a mental illness are irresponsible and can't make decisions for themselves. Again, this is untrue. Most can hold jobs and maintain an academic setting. As we mentioned earlier, Purdue has accommodations for students with disabilities who want to attend academic institutions. People who have a mental illness are childlike and must be taken up by parents or guardians. This is another assumption, as people with disabilities can live independently or in some cases live in group homes. People who have a mental illness should just get over it. This is again not true. Mental illnesses are just as real as physical problems such as diabetes and asthma. Mental disabilities can be caused by genetic disorders, chemical imbalances, and neurological damage.
So getting into more assumptions. In 2012, a survey was taken by the National Center of Learning Disabilities to get a public perception on learning disabilities, out of which 22% believe that learning disabilities are caused by too much of television. There has been a misconception that people actually think ADHD is actually caused by too much of television, or a student or a child is just not focusing in in his studies or just being hyper, but it's actually caused by genetic disabilities. And 31% believe that learning disabilities are caused by poor diet. Absolutely not true as well. And 24% believe that learning disabilities are caused by childhood vaccinations. There has been scientific reports that vaccinations has absolutely no correlation with disabilities, and disabilities are caused by genetic problems, or as well as physical damages. So now into the statistics. Scientists estimate 1 in every 4 people is affected by mental illness. It's kind of unfortunate, but that is the truth. And 20% of Americans over the age of 18 suffer from a diagnosable mental disorder. And 19% of students with learning disabilities drop out of college. This was actually a number which was derived from the National Center of Learning Disabilities, which I will show you in the next slide. There's a chart which shows how many percent of people have actually dropped out. And 12 million children have this mental disorder, and out of which 2/3 are not receiving help they need. So, as I said in the earlier slide, this is the chart which we have gotten from the National Center of Learning Disabilities, and from the school year of 2001 all the way till 2011, this has been the number of people who have dropped out, 19%. 68% of people have actually received a regular diploma, and 12% received a certificate. So what we are trying to do is create awareness and probably bring this number smaller.
We had 3 kind of main goals with our cultural immersion project. The first one was understanding disabilities and the impact that they can have on academic performance, and really how students with disabilities really can have accommodations made for them. So really also familiarizing ourselves with the resources that Purdue has on campus, such as the Disability Resource Office, and then seeing how those resources can actually be further improved is another big thing we're trying to accomplish.
The movie we selected for our project is Radio. Radio is based on a true story of T.L. Hanna High School and the interaction between head football coach Harold Jones and a man by the name of James Robert Radio Kennedy. And Kennedy was born with a genetic mental disability, and Coach Jones befriends him. The two begin a relationship after Radio shows interest in the high school football team, and Coach Jones catches high school students bullying him. And Radio's mom soon dies, and Coach Jones raises him as his own son, and Coach Jones actually helps him through school and helps him earn a high school degree. And so lessons that we learned from the movie were that Radio taught an entire high school and an entire southern town to be more open-minded and caring towards those with disabilities. And people with disabilities and learning disabilities in specific have a gentle and caring heart. And Radio doesn't let his disabilities hold him back from what he loves, and in this case it was football.
So as a group, we talked about how media plays a huge role in how we think and what we might think about the languages we use. So for our example, we have the actors from Glee who are contributing to not using the word retarded in a negative connotation.
It's not acceptable to call me a nigger.
It's not acceptable to call me a speck, to call me a chink,
To call me a fag.
It's not acceptable
To call me a cunt.
And it's not acceptable to call me a retard or call yourself or your friends retarded when they do something foolish.
The R word is the same as every minority slur. Treat it that way and don't use it.
Spread the word to end the word.
For one of our immersion projects, we attended wheelchair ballroom dancing. This talk and demonstration was given by Frank Epperson and his partner and instructor, Nicole Thompson. Frank is affected by spina bifida and therefore he's restricted to a wheelchair. He has competed in the Paralympics and wheelchair racing and has competed in the World Championships. So despite his disability, he has gone above and beyond what most people would be able to do. He's now retired but is involved with ballroom dancing still. To make his dancing experience more adaptable, the wheels on his chair are smaller and more tucked in so that he's able to get closer to his partner. It makes the whole motion a lot more fluid. Also, communication is very important. He talked about how, since it's not your classic ballroom dancing type style, it's very important to understand what one partner wants from the other. Also, Nicole sat in the chair when she first started teaching Frank to really understand what his mobility was like and how she had to adapt the moves to fit his needs. It has been a hobby for Frank since 1999, and again, like he said, the key to making it work is adapting to the disability. Really what matters is whatever desired upon by the lead. Frank is the lead, even though he is in a wheelchair. A lot of this is done through body contact, as simple as a finger, which he demonstrated in his presentation. A question was asked in our group, have you experienced or noticed a positive change in a student who is still in an academic setting in terms of schoolwork and social interaction experience? Nicole answered first. And she said she had taught several students who were still in high school or college. She said ballroom dancing really teaches etiquette since there's so much structure to it. Also, there's a lot of discipline required for the person, and it really allows them to mature in that manner. Also, it really helps them become well-rounded. And it helps them come out of their shell. She's seen students come in very shy, not very socialized, and by the time she starts to get to know them and by the time she's finished with them, they tell her that they've started improving academically, started making new friends at school, and she's really seen them come out of their shell. Frank didn't really apply to this, but he gave us his input on how he felt about it. And he said, through dancing, I've lost weight, and for other people as well, it helps you become more assured of who you are. You're able to know your skills. This speaks through all groups. The more experiences, the better you become.
A little bit of background about the Disability Resource Center here at Purdue. It is located right now in Young Hall, room 830, and it was established by the Dean of Students, Dr. Betty Nelson, in the late 1980s. And then as a group we met and interviewed with Susie Swenson, who is an accommodation specialist, to really talk to her more about what the Resource Center has to offer and some of the improvements that can really help out. We asked her what shifts she's noticed that have really led to overall improved success for students with disabilities. And the biggest one she had to offer was the overall change in technology, being able to get audio textbooks for students that perhaps can't pick it up as quickly, or even just something as easy as pens nowadays can actually record lectures so students can go back and re-listen to them, which is a really big thing because maybe it doesn't connect with the student the first time, but if they hear it multiple times, it really starts to get ingrained into their mind and they can still effectively learn the material.
So following what Tim said, another question that we asked Susie was, where do you think we need room for improvement on campus for those with disabilities? And she said her main concern is that there needs to be more handicapped accessible areas on campus, and that even our resource center for the Disability Resource Center is located on the 8th floor of Young Hall, which would make more sense if it was located on the 1st floor. In terms of learning disabilities, sometimes there might be professors that might not completely understand what the needs of certain students are with some learning disabilities like ADHD. However, they go through it and they follow through with the accommodations, but sometimes it takes some education and understanding for the professors to get to know what the student needs. So during our interview with Susie, we learned about multiple opportunities on campus that are there for students with disabilities. So one of the first one is priority scheduling, and this really helps students with physical disabilities get in those classes that have buildings that are close to each other, allowing them to make it to class on time, which is really helpful. Another thing is private testing at the private testing center that's located in the Disability Resource Office. This really helps students who might be in a big classroom environment, like a class of 300 people perhaps, have less distractions in the room, where it might be just them and the proctor who's watching them take the exam. Another opportunity on campus that's been really helping the Disability Resource Center is their increased outreach through a lot of orientation programs like STAR and AGR, where freshmen are signing up for classes. They've noticed a huge increase in the amount of incoming freshmen that have signed, who have become involved with the Disability Resource Center. It's increased 50% since 2010. So Susie mentioned that there has been a lot of involvement with the outreach programs. Another thing, the other opportunities are accommodation specialists like Susie herself that aid in guiding the students, so they kind of act like an advisor towards the students and help guide them towards their academic success. There's also note takers, readers, and scribes that are provided for students depending on their disability, which really helps gearing towards them and comprehending the information correctly. So the center also provides resources like converting printing materials into e-text or braille or enlarged print or even textile diagrams for those who might be more image focused. Along with that, there's also mentoring and tutoring opportunities on campus that help aid towards the students' academic success. And as most of us college students know, that tutoring does come with a fee, so the Disability Resource Center also provides options for funding that might go towards the tutoring, whether it's grants or them applying for a scholarship, allowing them to receive the tutoring.
One of our immersion activities was interviewing Paige Randolph, who is the chapter president here at Purdue and a Best Buddies ambassador for the Best Buddies program. The Best Buddies program is a program where volunteers create opportunities for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And so one of our questions we asked her was, does having a buddy increase self-confidence? And she was quick to say that both the people with disabilities and those who aren't disabled, their self-confidence increases through the program. She told us the story of a girl named Molly who was born with disabilities and went with Paige to a national convention in Washington, D.C., where she spoke in front of thousands of people. And Paige said that being able to share their success stories of those with disabilities being successful in real life boosts the confidence of those with disabilities. And then we asked how the program has changed her perspectives on those with disabilities. And she says that Best Buddies means that they're breaking down the stereotypes and stigmas of those with disabilities, but it's also a program of friendship where it's just the friendship of two people and mutual love between those two people. And she says that she learns just as much from her buddy as her buddy learns from hers.
Our final thoughts on this project was that we really understood how important inclusion was, especially those who are excluded from society.
So what we realized is that Purdue's campus offers multiple opportunities for those with disabilities to be able to have academic success as well as personal goals that they can achieve. However, we do realize that there's still room for improvement on campus and in the greater area of Lafayette. So more employees are needed at the Disability Resource Center. The Disability Resource Center has increased by 50% since 2010, so it's important that there's enough employees there to be able to assist those students, as well as perhaps maybe not a financial strain on students for having to go towards tutors or mentors to better achieve their goal of academic success.
And Purdue does a very good job, but there's always room for improvement. And we found that one of the main areas that needed to be improved was awareness. That not enough people knew about the Resource Center or those with disabilities on Purdue's campus in general. And to fix this, we think that there needs to be more opportunities for interaction between those with disabilities and those without disabilities.
Together, let's spread the awareness. Thank you.